All right, I can't even say good morning and welcome to this episode of Superior Angling. It is about 10 a.m. right now. The sun's getting high, which is a key factor to the bite that we're on today, and that is pike in the springtime. All right, now when you think spring pike in terms of location, you have to think about as shallow as you can go. Like, you literally question if you can get your boat into places. That's where pike are gonna be. Whether you're on a bigger lake like Rainy Lake up on the borders, where you have these back bays and rivers, that's where your pike go to spawn, and they'll spawn under the ice in February and March and early April. Here where we are on Lake Superior today, back bay. So you have to utilize kind of your Google Maps, your Bing Maps, and look at satellite imagery and find little bays, little pockets where these fish can be. Now, we're not talking huge expansive bays that are miles wide. We're talking just tiny little rivers, tiny little inlets along the whole shoreline. Whether Wisconsin, Michigan, the whole Ontario shoreline, there's little bays and little pockets all over Lake Superior, where just out there 2 miles is prime lake trout territory, but back in here is prime pike territory as well. So you can kind of do both in the same day, and that's what makes this really, really fun. And when you find the pike, they're going to be stacked up, just because 99.8% of the water out here is not ideal for pike in the springtime. But when you identify that 0.2% of water that is ideal for them, they're going to be congregated, and hopefully they're going to be hungry and willing to eat the baits that you put in front of them. So I can't really overemphasize using Google Maps and Bing Maps to find rivers, find little bays. What you want to look for on there is dirty water. So satellite imagery where you can really see like the bottom of a clear lake, you can see the rocks and shoals, that's not really good. What you want to look for is bays that look super murky, or rivers that look murky, or kind of a greenish tint color. Like, that's going to hold pike. And shallower, the better. I mean, where we're gonna fish today, like, it's gonna be shallow. It's gonna be a little bit uncomfortable at times, but we have an aluminum boat. It's perfect for that. And the shallower, the better. The more shallow you are, the more the water's gonna warm up this time of year. And we kind of talked about time of day. You gotta let that sun get a little bit higher. Right away in the mornings, this time of year, a lot of the water's too cold yet, and those pike are pretty lethargic and inactive. But 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., that's your prime time, and that's what we're in right now. Let's get some baits hooked up on these St. Croix legend tournaments. All right, so in terms of tackle that we're gonna use here today, this is a 7'1" medium heavy legend tournament rod. Again, a great rod for lake trout if you like a spinning setup for trout, but it also doubles as an awesome pike rod. A lot of times I like a bait caster, but we're gonna have some fun with a spinning rod here today. We have 20-pound braid and a steel leader. This is from Doug Wagner Fishing. Doug's got his stuff figured out for the muskie side of things, big muskies, but these leaders are also going to work great for pike. So this is just a 9-inch, 130-pound steel leader that we're going to put on here. A lot of baits that we throw today are, your pike's it's not common for them to bite you off in the springtime like this, but this is going to prevent that 100%. So we're going to tie on this steel leader. And then in terms of baits, I love a white swim bait for pike in the springtime. So this is a Storm 360, just a big white paddle tail, and it's just nice slow thump. We're just gonna slow roll these baits. Also, the clear versions can be good as well, but these are kind of the biggest size that the 360s come in. That's kind of my favorite out here. You want a big profile bait moving at a slow rate of speed for just to attract these pike and get them to come pounce on it. So another bait that you can throw is kind of a big spinner, kind of an inline big Meps, something like this. That works great as well. Again, you just want to kind of keep that in mind, just kind of slow and steady retrieve and just wait for that thunk. And these pike are going to be in super shallow water. We're probably going to get a chance to see some of them today before we catch them, because we're in such shallow water and the water is going to be pretty clear in some spots. But we're going to enter this little river area here, get up in there, throw some baits, and see if we can see a fish. So we were just up in that river. There was nothing. I fished it for maybe 10 minutes. No sign of life. Again, maybe had one bite, but if they were fishing there, you'd see them. You'd be getting bit. So we're sliding out here a little bit deeper. So on the more towards, like, this would be considered the mouth, where it kind of drops off to 8, 9, 10 feet. We're gonna try out here to see if maybe they're staging out here a little bit. So again, boat control is a little bit of a factor with this wind, but hopefully there's gonna be some fish out here. Fish right there, nice. Nice, that feels like a pike. With this braided line, you feel that gill flare, and that means pike. That tells you something. That was my first cast out here in this little bit deeper water. Right there. There we go. Not a bad northern. And that's a big swim bait, and it is gone. Like, I can't even, but look at, that's a big Storm 360. You can't even see it in that thing's mouth. So, I mean, I don't know, 3-pound pike, but a big, like, 5-inch swim bait just gone. First cast on the river mouth, a little bit deeper water, and that's the result. So we could be onto something. My initial impression was these fish are gonna be up in the river, super shallow. Not the case. But at least, you know, we were impatient with it. We gave it 5-10 minutes. We didn't have a huge loss. Slide out here, and it's fish on. I hope we're onto something here. Hopefully there's more to come. All right, we're kind of just back into position here from where we got that first fish. So out behind me is deeper water, but that river mouth and the inlet is right in here, and we're kind of right on that break where it goes from like 1.5 feet down to about 10 feet. And that first fish came kind of right on that break, kind of slow rolling the swim bait right off it. So we're gonna make a couple more casts back in there. Where there's, again, pike are very grouped up in the springtime. There's a fish. Are very grouped up in the springtime. So when you find one, you're gonna find more. And you just gotta, you know, work a little bit and find that area that they're at, because you can have a lot of fun. Again, this one doesn't feel huge, but yeah, I don't know, 3-4 pounder. You come to Lake Superior, there's big pike here, trust me. There's 45, there's 50-inch pike out here. You know, pike that you'd think were a muskie. So there's big potential, but hey, we're just warming up with these smaller guys. That's a nice pike there. That's a little bit bigger. That's a little bit bigger. Not too bad. We're starting to get onto it, man. We're starting to get the hang of it. That's a nice pike. Pretty colors on it. And look at that. Lake Superior pike. I love it. You got to work a little bit. It's kind of fun when they're not at the first spot that you think, because it makes you think, it makes you wonder, it makes you, you know, use a little bit of your skill or some knowledge to try to figure out where they're going. It's got some thick shoulders on that one. I love it. We're starting to get onto it. We can do better in size, but we're starting to get the hang of it and get these fish figured out. I love it. All right, we're gonna give this one more cast, and then we are going to get out of here. So as you can see, there's a lot of wind right now, and that's why we are not in the open waters chasing lake trout. It's just too windy right now, but luckily we have a boat that can, you know, get back here in the pike waters and have a blast with these pike. But a couple fish in this first spot, starting to get them figured out. There's bigger and better things to come, though, I have a feeling. So we're gonna take a little boat ride and go to a bay that I have in mind that I believe is a little bit deeper. So not super shallow, not gonna be 1-2 feet, but hopefully we have that 5, 6, 7 foot depth that these fish were at in this first spot. So let's get this boat on plane and see what else this lake has in store for us. Oh, look like a big fish.
Yeah, it's not bad. Not bad. Oh, yeah, he's got some size. Yeah, he hit good. He came up and smashed it pretty good. All right, that's a nice one. That was off in a little bit deeper water again, too. Oh, nice. Sweet. He inhaled that thing pretty good. Not quite as aggressive as the other ones on the bite, but that's in there. That's a nice one, man.
All right, let's get this big guy in the net here. Nice. Oh, good fish. Sweet.
So as Grant said, we just got about 2 feet deeper here. We've been casting really shallow for a little bit, and just had some small ones following, and then as we dropped off a little bit more here into about 5-6 feet of water, right as Grant said that, this guy decided to come and pay a visit, so crushed it. It was a really good good hit. You didn't fail, buddy. Look at those teeth. All right. All right. Nice fish. Good looking fish. Put up a good fight. Nice spring pike. It's chunky too. I mean, just good girth to him. Really good girth. Probably, I don't know, 30, mid-low 30s. Let's get this guy back in the water.
Fish.
All right.
He just choked it. Nice. Ah, that hit is just so intense when they just pound it. There is nothing like spring pike in the shallows, man. It's truly one of my favorite types of fishing throughout the whole year, is just getting out here after these big gators. It's another good fish. And just, I mean, they get huge out here on Lake Superior. And when you can get a little program put together, I mean, you're catching 10. I mean, there's potential for like 25, 30 pound fish out here. And catching these on, you know, lighter weight spinning rods like this on a windy day, you know, normally we'd be out lake trout fishing, but it's too windy to lake trout fish. So you come in here and you chase beautiful pike like this, man, like that's so much fun. It's so cool. All right, let's grab our solo slimer here. One step down from the musky mag in terms of size. Perfect for pike. Come here, buddy. Look at that. That is a springtime pike. Man, do they hit that hard. It's just, you're just slow rolling. You can feel the thump of these Storm 360s just kind of kicking back and forth. And that's really what it's all about, is that paddle tail, that big profile paddle tail going back and forth. And then boom, I mean, just something just like stops. And I mean, it's a pike hitting it and they just inhale it. They flare their gills, they suck it in. All these fish are just inhaling these baits. This is a nice fish here. That's pushing that, you know, 8 pound range. Look at that fish. That's a nice fish there. I'll take that any day. That is a lot of fun. And just look how thick these fish are here on Lake Superior. I mean, they're eating well. I'd say a lot of the forage for these fish are smelt, Cisco's, like your fatty bait fish that your trout love. These pike are also eating, but look at that. I mean, that fish easily goes 8 pounds all day. I mean, that Storm 360 is gone. Like, it's gone. Big mean fish, shallow bays. It's like, my heart's racing. That's a lot of fun. There they go. Cold water, super cold water. Now this bay is about 10 to 15 degrees warmer than our main body of water. Main Lake Superior still, you know, 40 to like, even like 38, 40 degrees up to like 45, 46, 47. But in here it's, you know, upper 40s, low to mid 50s even. So that's really what gets these fish going, is the water in these back bays start to warm up. Now something, again, interesting to note, as you saw that first spot we were at, there were no fish way in tight and shallow. And right here, right back in there, is if this water was a couple degrees warmer, those fish would be back by those weeds in about 1 to 2 feet, but they're not today. We have had a couple colder days here the past few, and the water temps, I think, have actually dropped. It's a little bit chilly yet today, so these fish have slid from the shallows out into 4, 5, 6, 7 feet of water. And again, they'll move. If, you know, very well tomorrow could warm up again and they'll push back shallow. But keep that in mind. Your pike are not always going to be super shallow. If you get a cold night here or there, they're going to slide off that first break line. And that's really where these pike are, that first break adjacent to your super shallow stuff.
Nice.
That's a big one.
That's a good one.
Yep.
Nice.
Big one.
Oh, I just
You just got smoked right there.
Right next to the boat.
Right next to the boat. We found him, buddy, that first break.
That was a little one. You got a nice one on.
Yep. That's a big gator. Woo. This Shimano drag is going to be burning if this thing wants to. There's some distance between the head and the tail on this one, man. That's a 40-inch fish, maybe longer. That's what you come here for. Big pike. Big pike, man. Big pike. When most people, if they saw, look at this thing go, if they saw the wind and waves today on Lake Superior, they would have went home. We luckily had the rods in the boat. We have the boat to do it. We just change up our plans and come here and pike fish. This is a big fish. This is a big fish. Look at this thing. That's a Lake Superior gator right there, man. Is she ready? I can't tell. It's kind of hard netting them by yourself. She's hard. You see that fish? Do you see that fish? Oh my gosh. That's an adrenaline rush. Slow rolling, a Storm 360 on the first break off of super shallow, kind of, you know, a flat or a river mouth where these pike would be if it was warm out. Today's cold. They slid off it, and bam, when I set the hook on her, I just saw that tail swirl. We're kind of working up into the wind, so I'm casting ahead of the boat because it's relatively clear water here and the boat does spook them. So I'm casting in front of the boat before a boat spooks them, and it paid off. That's a big pike. We're gonna have to get a tape measure on this one, but it's got the length and it's got girth too. That's an awesome fish. All right, so kind of like big lake trout, you know, very special and old. These pike are kind of the same way out here, so I wanna, you know, use caution with them. So we have our RS net here with the 1-inch mesh netting. It's not going to rip the fins on this fish, but to be extra careful, I'm just going to grab the fish out of the net. We're going to take the hook out, get a picture, and release it. These big pike are actually super special. They're a very unique and cool fish. It's an awesome fishery here on Lake Superior for them. So we take a lot of care and caution with them. Have a lot of respect for these big old fish like this. You know, any fish in Lake Superior, it's a challenge to survive. So when a fish gets this big and this special, you really got to, you know, take care of it and treat it with respect. Look at that gator. That there is a pike, man. She's got the length and she's got the girth too. That's pushing a 20-pound fish. That's what you come here for. That's what you hope for. I'm so happy. That is so cool. Oh man, what an adrenaline rush. That Storm 360 is gone. We got a big gator in the boat. It can't get much better than this. Plan B is sometimes better than plan A. How awesome is that? Look at that, looks like a log swimming away. Back to the depth she goes. I told you, that's the spot, man.
All right, I'm following
That's
the leader.
the spot.
Here we go.
Watch it up into the wind and we'll let her sail. It's a long way back to the boat.
It is.
Another scar on it. I think a lot of these are just battle scars from the spawn. That's not a bad fish. 5-6 pounder. I'll take those any day. I mean, catching a 5-6 pound pike in shallow water on spinning gear is a blast. Look at there, not a bad fish. Not a bad fish. We're gonna be happy with that one. He just come unhooked too. And he bit my tail off. And he bit my tail off. Mr. Pike. Back-to-back consecutive casts. Yeah, this fish is all beat up. Look at that. That's crazy. I don't know what's going on here. If it's from a net or from other fish, I don't know. Pike get pretty beat up during the spawn, so that spawn happened not too long ago. Let's get this one back. But what's going on right now with these conditions is the wind's picking up even more. Again, we're thankful we're not out in the big waters, but the wind is coming down here. This water's getting more and more murky. The waves are crashing. We've noticed, like in the past 5 minutes, that clarity is just deteriorating more and more and more. So I think our time is somewhat limited in here and before we head back, and the wind picks up even more. So you know, we'll make a run back to the boat landing, but that fish bit my tail off. I'm gonna rebait. I know there's a couple more here to catch before we really call it a day. This is so much fun though. Action packed, you know, fast paced action, just non-stop. Pike after pike after pike. Good stuff. Bury it. All right, this is our last cast of the day. This wind is really picking up and we got to head back to a landing, but what a blast we've had today. You know, you have an initial plan of fishing lake trout, and I know we've said it earlier in the episode too, but just having that backup plan, having that plan B can totally salvage your day. There's a lot of great fishing to take advantage of. In May, everything starts to get going. Your walleye gets going good, your pike starts to heat up, your lake trout, you know, your salmon. Like, I love the month of May. It is a blast, but again, a little bit unpredictable with the weather, with the winds, but hey, throw a bunch of different rods in your boat. You never know what the day's gonna have in store for you. From Corey and I, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.